6th of February 2023. Just before 5 a.m. in the morning, the country of Turkey, and more specifically the region of Gaziantep, was struck with the deadliest earthquake the country has seen in over 9 decades. A 7.8 Richter earthquake, and like that one strong quake wasn't enough, roughly 10,000 aftershocks followed, with the strongest one of them all being just 0.1 points weaker than the main quake. Both quakes had a serious effect both in Turkey and its neighboring country Syria, with the death toll of both countries in total adding up to roughly 70,000 people. What doubled the death toll amount was that it caught many people in their sleep. If the first quake happened during noon or the morning, the deaths would be significantly lower, since people would probably be at work and they would be able to rush outside or at least take proper cover. This quake in total also left nearly 2 million people homeless, and the amount of total damages for both countries added up to roughly $120 billion. Now you might be questioning, why so many deaths? Why as many as 100,000 buildings collapsed like they were made out of thin paper? Why? You're watching the newly created GlobalDocs channel, and without further ado, let's get right into this video. There were many reasons as to why both countries had so many building collapses. For one, the corruption in Turkey led to insufficient enforcing of the building codes. Back in 2019, a month before local elections, the leader of Turkey, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, approved the building amnesty law, which basically allowed for unregulated construction and expansion of already built buildings. That law in turn brought in around $20 billion in taxes for the Turkish government, but the long-term effect of that decision was and is already costing them way more than the revenue it then gained them. Of course, engineers warned the government that this law would have catastrophic consequences back when it was first implemented. And from what we all have seen so far, all those warnings have unfortunately proved themselves right. While there also is corruption in Syria, the main reason as to why over 10,000 buildings partially or completely collapsed was because of the ongoing decade-long civil war. What started as a peaceful uprising against the president of Syria, Bashar al-Assad, soon turned into a big military invasion by Turkey that was backed by the United States of America. This topic is so long that I can make a separate video on it, but in short, since 2011 there have been bombings in every single street of Syria. Not only that, but buildings have also had to withstand rocket launchers and machine gun bullets for almost now 12 years. As you may be able to understand, the durability of those buildings had taken a significant hit, and it's fair to say that those two major quakes and the 10,000 aftershocks were the final nail in the coffin. However, even when the building code was enforced, the actual building philosophy itself wasn't up to standard at all. Vox made a great video about this, and I'll have it linked in the description below. But basically, Turkish cities are filled with soft-story buildings. What does this mean? Well, you see, soft-story buildings don't have a solid base. Their ground floors lack walls. They are replaced with either steel or just weaker concrete frames. The lack of outside walls thus means that the ground floor can either be turned into a parking lot or can be used by smaller businesses who can't afford to rent a big property. While that's a good way to give the residents extra shops and parking spaces, if we think logically, soft-story buildings are a recipe for disaster. Well, think about it. The base of the building is weaker than the actual building itself. How will it support itself during an earthquake? Answer is, it won't, and believe me, this was the case with the majority of buildings that collapsed. In total, rescue teams arrived from 94 different countries. In total, the amount of people who helped was around 141,000. In between them, there was the army, 30,000 volunteers, 60,000 specially trained rescue teams, and 5,000 health workers. A massive rescue operation took place, and a lot of people who were buried under heavy concrete made it out alive. But after some days, and especially after day 4, the number of the people who were alive under those ruins started to massively decline. It was also really cold at the time, and snow was covering roads and buildings, so without any type of heating, hypothermia was imminent. Even if they did survive from the actual earthquake itself, the cold, the hunger, the thirst would very soon get to them. I don't know what to say after that last paragraph. It really hurt. As much as we Greeks hate Turks, I wouldn't wish this, not even to my worst enemy. That day, a lot of people lost their loved ones because of the greed of a few strong leaders. And I hope from now on that they learn from their mistakes and enforce the rules better.